Welcome everyone to the Standing Committee on Governmental Operations. We're just waiting on quorum, but hopefully we'll achieve that soon. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. We will go ahead and get started with some of the portions we can do without quorum. Madam Clerk, do you mind reading the welcome notes? Thank you.
Upon activation of the emergency alarm signal, all persons should immediately exit the building. Please use the exits to the left or right front of the council chamber or the east or west stairwell outside the rear doors of the chamber. Do not use elevators or escalators. After exiting the building, security will direct everyone down 9th Street to the assembly area located inside the former public safety building parking lot. Able persons should assist visually and hearing impaired visitors with exiting the building. Individuals wishing to speak during public hearings in the public comment period are generally allowed 3 minutes to speak. Persons appearing before the committee are not allowed to campaign for public office, promote private business ventures, use language of a personal nature which insults and demeans any person, including comments directed at public officials or staff members that are not related to their official duties, or address the question staff members directly. All questions are to be directed to the committee chair. Failure to adhere to the guidelines may result in speakers forfeiting any remaining time and further disciplinary action as necessary, which could include barring from attendance at future meetings of the committee for a period of 6 months.
Thank you so much. And I believe we're able to move forward with presentations. Is that?
Yes, okay. Madam Chair, that is
wonderful.
Correct.
Okay. Let's go to presentation number 1, Clean City Commission Annual Report. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Steve Marzoff. I'm the chair of the Clean City Commission. I've been on the Clean City Commission for 2 years now and chair for 1 of those years. Mainly wanted to come to give you our annual report in person today because we are going through a bit of a transition. If you're not familiar with the Clean City Commission, do I hit a button to change the slides? Clicker, perfect. The Clean City Commission's been around a while, and if you're not familiar, this is the representation as we currently have it. I do understand on the agenda today there are 3 other members potentially coming forward, which would take us to just 1 vacancy, and that being the 9th District. I do plan to attend some civic meetings in the 9th District and try to get some excitement and get somebody to volunteer to represent the 9th District so that we'll actually be at full capacity for the first time since I've been on the commission. What the commission mainly is here to do is to advise you and the administration on all things recycling or anything that will beautify and better the city. But in the last couple of years, we've kind of gotten away from the recommending policy changes and doing more cleanup activities ourselves. So it's been more of us doing the fishing rather than teaching people to fish. And I think one of the things we're trying to do is refocus onto more of the policy side and less of the actual doing, but also encouraging communities to do more of that. So one of the things we did this year was come up with what our priorities are for this year, for calendar 2026. And these are these four things. As you probably all know, we do have a scourge of illegal dumping throughout the city, and we're looking at what can we do to try and reduce that. There's been some discussion with DPW about putting in cameras. There's been discussion of trying to focus on repeat offender areas. I know in Swansboro West, where I live in the 5th District, we had 15 tire dumps last year that had to be picked up. And probably the biggest event we had was in Southside was the United Nations Church had 249 tires dumped one Saturday night right before church service on Sunday. And when they came in, it was quite a shock for them. We need to find a way to reduce this illegal dumping and to go after those people who are doing it. We also need to expand recycling in schools. We're missing an incredible opportunity not only to increase the recycling, but also to teach the kids how to recycle. And I've talked about this at a couple of presentations I've done, and some people have corrected me and said that that their school does do recycling. And so when I went and talked to those schools, what I actually found, it was a teacher or a custodian who was taking it home and doing the recycling that way. We need to be more consistent with that. Third, if you've ever been out to the Richmond Road East End landfill, you know that there were piles and piles and piles of branches, sticks, logs, and everything that had accumulated from years and years. We don't have a sustainable recurring way to deal with that. So as a Richmond tree steward as well, we generate a lot of branches. Because of climate change, we're losing more trees than we ever have before, and we need a place to put them. And we have that area and then also one on Maury Street, and they were filled to capacity. Now, fortunately, DPW has found some money this year to start chipping those and to start getting rid of those in preparation for the solar farm at East End. But we can't just keep dealing with our debris on a when we can find the money basis. We need to come up with a sustainable, recurring way of dealing with what we know is going to come when we have 75,000 street trees in the city of Richmond. So we want to work with DPW to develop a sustainable solution and bring it to council and the mayor for potential funding in the future, whether that's chipping or biochar or whatever. And then finally, I'm here to say what we do a lot of things really, really well in Richmond. We have a really good home recycling program. We have a great composting program. We need to expand those. We need to build on what we've done well. Instead of just the 20 sites, we want to look at adding composting to schools. One of the teachers at Swansboro Elementary was telling me that it's frustrating to them that because 80% of the kids there are on free lunch, they have to give each kid everything, an apple, the entire tray of food. And many of the kids say they don't want it. And where does it end up? In the trash can. So we need to have a compost capability so that at least we can get some value out of that. Second is small business recycling. We had our open house in October at Gramophone Winery in the 4th District. And Arthur Grant, who's the owner there, told the story that he wants to do recycling. Here's a winery that's opening bottles and just throwing them in the trash. And the reason is, in order for him to get recycling, he has to contract with somebody at about $200 a month. And he said, I'd gladly pay that. The problem is it's a dumpster. And I need to have a concrete pad for that. And because I'm so close to Westover Hills Boulevard, I need to have an enclosure, which means I'm going to lose 3 parking spaces, plus it's going to cost me tens of thousands of dollars to have this constructed. He said, I don't generate that much. If I could just have one of those rolling trash cans like we have for the residences, he said that would be perfectly adequate. Interestingly, the CVWMA recycling truck already goes down his alley because there are residents right behind him. So all it would take is finding a way to get him a can, let him pay for it, and we would be able to add some small business recycling and get some benefit from that. Interestingly, he takes all of his recycling home to do, but he lives in Chesterfield that doesn't recycle glass, so the glass bottles still end up going in the trash can. And then finally, family residential. We are adding apartment complexes hand over fist throughout the city of Richmond, especially in South Side. And we need to require some capability to do the multifamily recycling capability. But as I said, we also do cleanups. We are trying to work with the community groups and other organizations to try and organize. We have a proposal. In fact, the Clean City Commission meeting tonight, we have a proposal from the Richmond Tool Bank that they want to declare April as Richmond Shines Month, and they'd like to partner with us to do events throughout the city, throughout the entire month, that they'll coordinate the giving out of the bags and the pickers and things like that. And we think those are the types of programs that will really benefit the city and showing people that we care and that we're out there doing those cleanups, and it's something that we can replicate and continue moving forward. We also do public awareness. We try to table at the farmers markets. We give out reusable bags and reusable water bottles. And what we find is a lot of people don't realize what capabilities they have. We've run into a lot of people, and I know in my own neighborhood in Swansboro West, that don't have recycling trash cans. And when we ask them why, they said, well, there wasn't one here when I moved in. And they don't even know that they can just put in a request to 311. So we want to get more education out there for people to know, what do you do when somebody fills a recycle bin with trash? How do you get it emptied? You get the oops sticker on it, but how do you then get more people there? We do have our annual recycling events. We do 3 out at Robin Hood Road. We do realize that we're going to lose that space here in the next year or so with the Diamond District project, but they have been very successful in getting electronics and material like that off of the, getting them recycled and not getting illegally dumped. And then we also have our Adopt a Spot program, which right now we're only have a few communities that are taking advantage of it. The 2 primaries are Brooklyn Park, which is done by the North Barton Neighborhood Association, and Swansboro West. But we're looking to onboard more people to either adopt an entire neighborhood or to adopt a specific spot. And finally, there's my contact information. I'd be happy to answer any questions and any feedback that the individual council members have or this committee has to steer us. We are looking, kind of trying to find our way as to what it is we really want to focus on. Like I said, illegal dumping kind of smacked us in the face with those 249 tires at United Nations Church. But any input or direction that the council would like to provide, we're happy to receive it.
Wonderful. And thank you so much. And I love everything you presented. Obviously, there's some crossover with other boards and commissions. Do you guys ever collaborate together? I'm just thinking particularly about composting and recycling and the Sustainability Commission.
I attend all the Sustainability Committee meetings. I also go to Urban Forestry because there is a definite benefit to trees that impacts the Clean City mission as well. And I do work and talk often with Laura Thomas, the Director of the Office of Sustainability. We are still trying to figure out exactly with the bag tax, where the lines are between, because quite frankly, when I read law that says how that money can be spent, I focused on, oh, that sounds exactly like the Clean City Commission. And I started calling it my money, which Laura Thomas quickly corrected me and said, no, it was her money. But those are things that we're still trying to work out and discuss.
Got it. Ms. Agbacher, I know, I'm sorry, we had to get started because we weren't sure when our 3rd member was going to be able to attend. But did you have any questions for our commission? All right. Well, I just want to thank you so much for everything you do. I love the trash pickup slide. I think I recognize that person. And it really is a wonderful, for anyone listening, it's a great way to get to know your neighbors more, get to know each block of your community better. And direct action is just so satisfying. So definitely would love to continue participating with those cleanups. Make sure, I guess, you're checking in with the rest of council members about the activities that are happening in their districts. And to your question of sort of looking for that focus, I feel like when I've participated on boards, commissions, and when I've talked to other chairs, inevitably the things that's most successful are the things that you are personally interested in, because you're the one spending your personal time on this. And so where you can get the energy of the makeup of that commission at that moment, I think ends up bearing the most fruit. But I appreciate you bringing sort of that topic forward, but I would make sure it's something that you guys are invested in, because you're the ones who are going to be out there and need to be engaged with it. So thank you again for coming, and I'm sorry it took this long to get you into chambers, but keep up the great work. Really grateful for everything you and your committee does. So please thank them for us.
I will. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, I believe we have another presentation. Are they available to come forward? Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Douglas Gurnett. I'm the Deputy Director in charge of Strategy and Cybersecurity here in the city of Richmond. I want to thank you, Chair Jordan, members of council, Director Todd, and the administration for the opportunity to discuss this in public forum. A lot of our peer localities don't take this proactive approach to cybersecurity. The vision tends to be a few guys in the basement, security operations center, picking through network packets, looking at threats, maybe providing some advice to executives. Here in the city, that conversation takes place on an ongoing basis at all levels within the administration and with council. While some of that's true, cybersecurity is changing in 2026 and in the future. Today, I hope to inform you on what cybersecurity encompasses here in City Hall, what it will in the future, what it is in the technical marketplace overall. After all, we're one entity within the billions of IP addresses within the world. And we have to take that into consideration. We can't operate within our own bubble or own sphere of influence. We have to be aware of others in the virtual battlefield we find ourselves on. And it truly is that. Some of the information we'll be sharing today is observations from other localities, from the federal government, and our own observations. I hope to walk you through what it really looks like in our day-to-day, what trends look like, maybe not those within the city's own operations, but in others as well. And we have to be really cautious. Some of our, what we can discuss today could go into exposing our tactics, our techniques, our procedures, our TTPs, and that can't be discussed in a public forum. So we're always happy to work with this body, with the administration in appropriate closed sessions. So when we get into our discussions, as we cross that bridge, I just want to make you all aware of that. Historically, cybersecurity remained focused on very technical details. Architectural review processes, litany of controls mapped to assurance levels, occasional reporting or incident response, and those are critical to operations. I think we're missing a slide. There we go. But these times are shifting. The focus is now on ongoing risk management, protecting sensitive data while maintaining access to it. Data is everything within this organization. Regulatory compliance, there's a ever-changing landscape out there on the federal level, on the state level. There's a lot of proposed legislation, even in the current session, that will drastically impact the city's ability to not only secure its data, but even use its data. Maintaining continuity of service and operations is within the security portfolio, and collaboration and efficiency. When we have security events, it's not isolated to a single system. These events are significant, can impact the city's own image. It can impact peer localities, and peer localities can impact us. So the totality of cybersecurity is not what it used to be. It can't just be me and another guy downstairs. It has to be evolving on an ongoing basis. In today's presentation, I hope to illustrate some of the various challenges towards modern governmental cybersecurity landscape. Again, this is within the entire marketplace, not just limited to the city, but we'll share with you some specific details as well. In those areas, I want to focus on closing the cyber skills gap, emerging technologies, which is pretty much the focus of our operations these days, changing regulatory requirements, dependencies on supply chains that originate with our adversaries. cybercrime sophistication and its improvements over time with the evolving technology that we see, and even geopolitical tensions. When we see something changing across the world, whether that be nation state or isolated to a civil war somewhere across the world, it actually impacts our posture. There's a lot of information on this slide. Hopefully it's digestible. This comes from our trusted source at Gartner. And what it represents is the frequency that the industry is observing of threats against our ability to defend against them. Things that are in the upper right corner have an advantage to the attacker. Things in the left side, the advantage is on the defense. We have those tools, they're mature, there are practices to safeguard against them. It doesn't always tell us exactly what's happening within our networks, but it helps us prepare for what's coming next. It helps us anticipate where we need to be in 3 years, in 5 years. A lot of the changes that would take place in order to safeguard ourselves from these threats are not a turn-on situation. You can't check a box on a tool and say, safeguard us from deepfakes. What you can do is put all those tools in place, the staff behind them, and make the users aware in advance to say these things are coming, have these discussions, have them frequently, not only just with our user community, but even with the public. One of those examples of some of the more sophisticated techniques is a simple one that came out of California, I think. Public forum is put out there. Electronic feedback is solicited from the community, and none of those voices could be heard. Democracy gets killed because bots. Simple botnets, empowered with AI. And what we're observing is not traditional techniques simply enhanced by AI. Those are easy. There's frameworks out there that can defeat these things. It's just done at a faster pace, and we think we just need to move faster. There's actually more approaches. Our attack surface has broadened exponentially just in the past 2 years. So what are we actually seeing in the city? We do routinely record every single incident that takes place. We review every single one on a 24/7 basis. What we see are nation state sponsored exploitation or attempts at exploitation. This is by and large the largest risk to the city. Not only our city, but peer localities as well.
I'm sorry, could we just pause for a moment? Can you define what that is for everyone? Thanks.
Nation state sponsored is those coming from other countries, originating from adversaries such as Iran, such as Russia, China, North Korea. Those are nation state actors. They have the backing of a government operation. What's a little different there is historically cybercrime took place and had the largest impact on most localities. Ransomware, everyone knows what ransomware is, and we do see attempts at that. That typically originates from commoditized code that some criminal organization builds out. What about when nation states partner with those criminal organizations? And that's what we're observing, is we're seeing those original hooks, if you will, from a criminal syndicate that just sends a phishing email to targeting an individual. Any one of us here in government can be targeted, myself included. And once someone engages with that, that information is then sold or it's proxied through another organization. And tracking these proxies has become the larger challenge. We still see traditional phishing account takeover. These are still threats that we have to be poised to defend, and we have to do it better because our focus needs to be on emerging technologies. How do we do it? Effectively, the city leverages the same technology the bad actors are, only we're trying to get ahead of those attacks. By having detailed knowledge of the technology employed, primarily Gen AI, large language model, machine learning, and implementing it ourselves, training our staff to recognize it, we're able to get in front of those bad actors and take advantage of their weaknesses. Historically in cybersecurity, it's always been identify your weakness and cover it. What we can do now is look for the bad actors' weaknesses, defend against their strengths, and then prepare to report out where they failed. And when we do that, especially amongst other localities, amongst other government agencies, and even the private industry, we're seeing a lot more success in that arena. This kind of comes down to what is the most terrifying trend in the industry, I'll stress on the industry, not so much in the city, is that although we can have as many technological tools as possible, we can have the best and greatest out there, It comes down to the people behind it. There is no adaptive security appliance like the human brain. Most organizations, and even more so in localities and other government organizations, struggle to locate talented individuals to staff their cyber divisions, the majority of which, 65%, as this slide indicates, have unfilled vacancies. The city has one. That they're unable to fill. They're unable to cross-train. They're unable to leverage the skills of folks in the arena. It's very competitive, but also there's a growing skills gap. There's very few folks that have both focused on cybersecurity as well as emerging technologies. When you can bridge those two together, those are the talented folks we're after. The city's very thankful for the fact that the administration and council, in my entire tenure here at the city, has supported cybersecurity first. Since 2022, we've grown from a dedicated team of 3 to a team of 7, including very talented individuals from the DoD, from academia. We also cross-train staff. Some of our staff in our dedicated team originated in engineering, and that speaks to the ability to grow a skill in traditional technology and implement it for cybersecurity, and vice versa. One of the other things we've done is we've streamlined what we call our shared operational model. So although we have 7 dedicated team members to cybersecurity, every employee in the city here is aware that during an incident, you may play a role. There may be someone contacting you saying, we need you to do X, Y, and Z. I believe we've even had communication between our director and members of council saying, we need to talk to you about something. And we appreciate that partnership. We partner both internally and externally with many different agencies. The abilities that we get using centralized security operations with a shared operations model is exponential. It also allowed us to proactively ingrain our security team with our AI governance. One thing that the city is doing differently is we have not fragmented our investigation into emerging technologies, right? Large language models, machine learning have been around for many years, but they're really gaining mainstream momentum. A lot of localities are adopting those first and securing them second. That's, in my opinion, a mistake. What we're doing is we're actually putting security, the city attorney's office, other agencies within the city, within our AI governance board through administrative regulation 2.13, and making sure that we're making the decisions in advance of technologies being introduced so we can defend them in real time. So lastly, I speak kind of and put a bleak outlook on the use of technology, right? Can we just turn it off and make sure that we secure everything? And that's not really the truth here. What we need to do is exercise caution. Take a balance of innovation, right? Get the technologies out there while you're securing them and you're aware of their risk. Again, it comes down to risk management. We will never have a 0 level risk. As much of my leadership would argue with me is you cannot get there. But what you can do is manage that risk effectively and be prepared to respond. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you so much, colleagues.
Sure. Thank you for this presentation and for all that you are doing to keep us as secure as possible. I'm particularly interested in the threats around deepfakes and AI because I just worked on this in my other job. Are you guys working with the communications department to ensure that there's both the operational response to an AI, like a confirmed AI deepfake, and sort of the reputational harm and communications response? Like, are those things going hand in hand?
I wouldn't so much say hand in hand and directly with that agency because we work with all the agencies. We are partnered with the FBI Cybercrime Division here in Richmond, which would be the arm to exercise control over such activity. But then that's where our shared operations model comes in, is when it's recognized, it would likely be recognized through automation and provide the proper guidance to reduce the impact of image damage. So again, it's a balance between preparation, having the right partnerships in place and knowing the immediate path to respond to that, and then dealing with the damage control afterwards. So I hope that answers your question. It's not directly with OSC, but that is one of the partner organizations.
Yeah, I would think that eventually we want and I think it's maybe a more OSC question, but ensuring that they have, a robust plan that has been at least vetted by your office around the communications response to that, because I think that that's a critical piece of it. My last question is sort of, and I know that some of this has to be discussed privately, but are all of our like resiliency plans for critical infrastructure, how frequently are those being updated and tested? And just knowing that we're always worried about our water and gas infrastructure.
Okay, if you don't mind, I'm going to break that down a few
Yeah.
different ways. So resiliency of any system is addressed at every single juncture that system is touched by our department. So when any system comes through our governance process, we review resiliency as a key component. Can you continue operations without that system? Right, question one. Can you recover that system and its important data behind it in a reasonable timeframe within the continuity plan? That happens at least annually as far as continuity plans go overall on IT operations. So that's to say that every single year, DIT goes through and looks at this continuity plan and looks at every single critical system. Do we have the necessary means to recover that in the event of a disaster? What's our means of continuity? And advising the agencies that would be impacted by that, as well as the administration, on here's how you need to be prepared for such an activity. Specifically to critical infrastructure, we have a direct partnership with that leadership. We meet on a weekly basis to ensure that we're not only securing the environment, but we're also resilient in that environment as well. If I had to put it out there, it is one of the concerns. I always get asked this question in every single one of these discussions. What keeps me up at night? Our critical infrastructure does. Not because it's at risk, but because it is the #1 target of every bad actor out there.
Sure. I would assume every municipality that would be their #1.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I just had a couple. I agree. I mean, AI, all the emerging technologies, it's hard to keep abreast of what's happening. And so often you're reading about, if you're lucky, you're reading about the bad applications of it for another locality so that you can then say, well, we're not going to have that happen here. But, particularly I think for our roles on council, when it comes to mind, a recent article about a locality, and I think it was in California, where AI had been used to generate overwhelming amount of public comment. And just the increased burden it is to try and sift through what is the genuine public comment, what is machine learning initiated. But this is not my area of expertise. And so I'm extremely grateful to hear that you feel like we have a robust staff here. I'm sure that, like all our departments, you would rather be larger. Only one vacancy. That's encouraging. Where are we on filling that position?
It's in flight right now. We just finished a round of interviews. I will admit that in the greater marketplace, it is difficult to find. We had one candidate who was qualified, and unfortunately, it didn't work out. So we've just re-advertised that one. I'm encouraged. We do partner through VCU, work with the intern programs. We're actually working on a program now to get out to the Richmond community through the libraries and a grant from the state to be able to build the pipeline, if you will, and always have talent coming in to the cybersecurity pool. Having a vacancy is always something we want to fill, but because of that shared operations model, I can think of no less than 20 colleagues in my office that their day-to-day isn't cybersecurity, but any one of them can step into that role and fill it when it's necessary. In fact, we have done it.
Excellent.
I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, no, thank you. And thank you for everything that you and your team do to protect our information. Because you're not just protecting the information within this building or this institution, but it's our residents' information at the end of the day. So thank you again. We appreciate you putting this report together. I believe you had one audit item to discuss.
Yeah, the city has just one outstanding audit item. We closed 4 in fiscal year between 25 and 26 as we follow. This one just recently hit DIT, I think in January or December. That's in progress.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, can we move to our capital maintenance program presentation, please?
Afternoon. I am Gail Johnson, the Director of General Services. And I have my two brain children behind the facilities and keeping our maintenance of all of our facilities. Kenny Hill, who is our operations manager in facilities, and Lacey Solomon, who is really overseeing our CIP infrastructure systems so that we'll make sure we're on track with what we're doing. Come before you again today to give you just some update on some of our capital maintenance that we've got going. Got it. So today we'll provide an overview of the Department of General Services to include a list of the facilities that we maintain and the facility index score. Just so that everyone is aware, I've included the list of the facilities that DGS maintain. We do not maintain Recs and Parks facilities, nor do we maintain the DPU facilities. We'll review an estimated totals of the deferred maintenance costs through FY26. We'll identify the top facilities by the deferred maintenance needs, an overview of the generalized capital maintenance program for FY26, and then a review of the DGS's operating budget that's related to the general maintenance of the facilities, not the capital, just your general maintenance. So just a quick overview. In FY25, the Department of General Services was established. It included parking, special capital projects, fleet, and real estate. And that was done to enhance the responsiveness and the services that we provide. In FY26, we expanded that to standardize our maintenance within the facilities and to ensure safety of the employees and the visitors to our facilities by adding the facilities department into general services. So our department is made up of 120 FTEs. I've got a parking enterprise that have 12 FTEs that are funded through our parking enterprise. I have fleet maintenance that has 53 internal service funded employees. Our special capital projects, which is the area of general maintenance that does our vertical construction. They've got 4 employees. 3 of them are general funded. The other one is through special fund funding. And then I've got 50 in our security and facilities group that 7 of them are funded through our special fund to maintain our Main Street Station facility. The rest are general funded. So I know there was a question about all of them not being funded in the general fund. They are not. When you look at the facilities that we maintain, you've got those 50 employees maintaining 81 total facilities, 9 of which are unoccupied, 72 that are occupied. And again, this does not include the recreation and parks facilities, nor does it include the DPU facilities. Some key terms as it relates to facilities and the maintenance of facilities. So there's a capital, and you all have seen this before, there's a capital maintenance where we talk about our long-term investments in our building and equipments to make sure the functionality is carrying out at least through its useful life period. We've got our preventive maintenance, and that's our operations area that handle our scheduled routine maintenance to expand the life on these assets. And then the deferred maintenance, that sore thumb that is the delayed maintenance that keeps us from having our equipment or keeps us having equipment far past our useful life. And then there's a facility condition index, which is the tool to use to measure the condition of our facilities. And then facility condition assessments, which is a comprehensive evaluation of the facility, the condition of the facility. And when you talk about the facility condition index, you're looking at the deferred maintenance costs divided by the replacement costs and coming up with a score to say what's the true facility condition on a scale from 0 to 1, going from good to divest. And at this point, when you look at our facilities, again, those that DGS maintain, Overall, those facilities are in poor condition using that evaluation and model. So right now, when you look at this spreadsheet, it shows that we've got a $251.5 million deferred maintenance cost, and that's just in construction. If somebody made, a magic wand and dropped us a whole bucket of money, we'll need about 357 to redo everything that needs to be done, and that's including the other costs associated with actual construction of a project. We've graphed the facilities index over the deferred maintenance costs over a time period. And just using some of the funding examples, if we were to stop funding any of our deferred maintenance, we would out past 15 years still have divested properties that we're working out of and maintaining or trying to maintain. This model shows that it would take about $50 to $60 million investment per year to, at year 4, even get us down to $100,000 deferred maintenance costs, and that's taking us from that 251 that we just looked at. With that same investment, we would have our facilities in a fair to good range in about 5 to 6 years. But again, we're talking at $50 to $60 million investment per year. We talk about the 3 critical buildings that we're keeping running is our City Hall, John Marshall Courts building, and the main library. These 3 buildings alone make up 60% of the deferred maintenance cost. So that gives you an idea of what we're looking at. And again, each of these facilities are in poor or worse conditions based on the facility condition index scores. We do have the generalized capital maintenance fund that is about $16.1 million. That fund is divided between general services, recreation and parks. In FY26, there was funding put in for the Richmond Animal Care and Control Hospital. So we get 9.4 of that to maintain all of the facilities' capital needs. Recreation and park is at approximately $5 million, and the $1.5 million that went to the animal care and control. So you're looking at the $10 million compared to the 50 or 60 that's needed. Okay. Here's a list of the projects included in the FY26 deferred maintenance. The generalized capital maintenance bucket. All of these projects have either been completed or are still in progress. So we're moving along. We're spending the dollars as set aside, taking care of the needs of our facilities the best we can. Any questions?
Thank you. I imagine we will have a few questions just a minute.
Mm-hmm. And I've attached to your packet, because the list that shows each of the departments along with the individual facility score just would have looked crazy on the slide. So I just attached that. We summed it up to the point 4.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. So any questions, colleagues? Councilmember Gibson.
Thank you. Just was curious, you had mentioned the question about the various positions being funded through, not all on the general fund. Can you just walk through what the other funds are that fund? It looks like the...
So our parking is an enterprise fund, and the revenue they collect is what takes care of the operations of that parking division.
Mm-hmm.
The fleet is internal service. So everything that fleet does is billed back to the agencies that they're doing the work for. Main Street Station has a special fund dedicated for the maintenance and upkeep of that Main Street Station.
So to be clear, so the parking enterprise, those 12 are all funded through the enterprise fund because through the parking fees that are collected, you said?
Correct.
And then can you explain once again, what does that mean, internal service? How does that, can you just clarify?
So fleet is an internal service. sort of like DIT. The work that Fleet does is billed back to the using agency.
Okay. And then the special funds that fund both the capital projects and the facilities and securities management?
That's part of both of those is through our Main Street Station Special Fund.
Okay, thank you.
So those dedicated workers to Main Street Station.
Few questions. Of the nine, there's 9 properties that are currently not used. Is that high, low in relation historically? Like,
So that would be a question when you look at our real estate list overall. But for general services, having those facilities, keep in mind, we just got rid of we got the Coliseum sitting there that we still maintain. We just got rid of our public safety building. So those are properties that normally we would not have had. They would have been occupied and we would have still maintained them. But it comes with a whole nother maintenance concern when they become vacant. And you got another security concern that's built on top of that.
is one of those now Arthur Ashe?
Yes.
Okay. Is part of any of this planning, like looking at those unoccupied or vacant buildings and determining whether we would, like when we sell those or we offload them, where does that revenue go? Does it go back into DGS for additional maintenance in support of buildings that are occupied?
So that would be a question for our finance area. I've been working with the economic development team on what we're doing with and the plans for these vacant facilities. But once they sell, again, that's the DEC side of the house.
Okay. And then Main Street Station having its own, that makes sense that it has its own fund. Do the fees that are collected from Main Street Station fully offset the annual maintenance of the building itself?
For the maintenance that we perform, yes.
Okay. Probably not the maintenance that it needs, though.
That, again, I can't answer that question.
And then
And I will say that the facility, Main Street Station itself, is not in bad condition. So we're, again, as things come up that needs to be done, we're able to take care of those needs of those facilities, of that facility.
okay.
Yeah.
And everything that is collected stays with Main Street?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then lastly, just kind of a bigger conversation, but I know, we did this a year ago, and a big part of our conversation a year ago was around city center, and the John Marshall Courts building, and sort of reimagining, not just the courts building, but City Hall. Are there additional conversations happening around, like, is City Hall the best, like, is this 900 East Broad Street the best location for City Hall? Is City Hall, like, at what point do we get to the maintenance of this building is not worth keeping this building and moving somewhere else that maybe is less valuable real estate and a part of that bigger city center package?
So as our teaming up with DEC and being part of the city center project and having the BAP grant, that is exactly what's being looked at as part of this whole project. So we've got consultants on board now to start to look at just that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Gibson, did you have a follow-up? Okay, turn your mic off, sorry. Thank you. I think that's, it's kind of the $1 million question, or the $300 million question is, you list here is about $150 million in deferred maintenance for City Hall. And I feel like the last time we saw in a presentation from DCO Stidel years back, the estimated cost of replacement was twice that. So
Okay, this is deferred maintenance cost. You're looking at the replacement cost.
I know, the point I'm trying to make is, like, deferred maintenance may seem like a staggering number, but when we talk about having to rebuild from scratch, it's going to be magnitudes of deferred maintenance cost. So I'm with a background in historic preservation, I'm always thinking it's better to just keep investing and staying on top of the deferred maintenance if possible, than trying to initiate a new city hall. But these are questions that your department's grappling with the administration, and obviously similar conversation happening about the John Marshall Building. And there are other properties listed as divest on your presentation. Are those properties that you're saying the city should, I mean, are you literally saying divest, that they should be surplus, or it's just,
No, that is just based on using that model.
okay,
So when I look at, just for an example, the homes you live in may be old homes from an age perspective, because that's one of the factors that the assessment looks at. But you could have renovated everything inside. I would not say I'm going to get rid of my old house just because that factor is put into it. So this facility index score is just based on the model. We've upgraded, when you look at some of our fire stations, we've upgraded some of our fire stations to, without looking at the outside of it, that you could go inside and possibly think, hey, facility index score says it's poor, divest, but it's not really.
do we have enough?
So we do, as we maintain, department is looking at what really is the condition of this. The bare bones are good. We've updated all of the HVAC heating systems. We've renovated bathrooms. We've renovated kitchens. So all of that does have to be considered.
Understood. Thank you.
I do just have a
Follow-up question. Thank you.
Going back to City Hall, and I'm not advocating one way or the other, but as a part of this facilities conditions rating, do we take into account the overall occupancy of the building? So, for example, in City Hall, I know in a lot of buildings and a lot of places, post-COVID, they were at 40% occupancy. So even though every floor might be occupied, only 40% of that floor is occupied at any given time because of work from home or telework or rotating schedules. Is that something that we're taking into account in all of our office buildings that the city owns? Like, is there opportunities to consolidate workforce and consolidate buildings?
That would not be part of the facility condition assessment. That would be another analysis that would need to be done.
Who would spearhead that analysis?
I think it would have to be a team to include us. As we look at space and space needs, I'm not sure if it would just really solely be DGS. I think it would definitely, we would play a very vital role in it, because we're the department that knows the facilities. We know who's where. And then getting with our other departments to really identify what space do you really need?
Yeah.
Am I remembering that DCO Stidel did that report not too long ago?
He did a space study, I want to say, and don't quote me, I think it was 20, that we did a space study.
It was after
Looking at-
COVID.
Yeah, looking at some of the facilities that we had and what really were space needs of all of our agencies.
Okay. Well, I mean, the challenge obviously with those studies is they almost become out of date the next day because people are constantly shifting around. But would it be possible, and I don't know who to posit this question to get a copy of that, and then an understanding of if it's been updated, obviously the most updated copy, and then when we're anticipating it to be revisited? And then we can discuss with our committee staff about maybe a potential future presentation on it.
I think that would be
So good.
very helpful. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, I think we had a couple of audit
We've got one.
updates.
Our field card audit. So we had 9 recommendations. The audit team has set aside March the 3rd to review all of our documentation and hope as a result of that reviewing, we are able to close all 9 of them.
Okay, there should be a clap track somewhere.
So fingers crossed. Thank you all.
Thank you, and thank you to your staff. Okay. Madam Clerk, we do not have papers for consideration. We can move on to board vacancies. And Ms. Nichols, thank you for all the work you have done. I know you've got some recommendations for us today.
Good afternoon, Pamela Nichols, Council Management Analyst. The vacancy report before you this afternoon consists of current and projected vacancies through May of this year. And diving right into the report, we're going to start with the Central Virginia Waste Management Authority. There are 3 vacancies for alternate members, and we have an application from Zachary Pauley. And then moving down to the City Personnel Board, there are 4 projected vacancies for a city resident. We received an application from Lacey Hancher, and you see noted on your report that she was recently appointed as an alternate member to the Participatory Budgeting Steering Commission. I did speak directly with Ms. Hancher, and she said that she does feel that her HR experience will serve valuable to the board. And then moving down to the Clean City Commission, of course, you all received that report. We have a 1 vacancy for a 4th district representative, and Mr. Al has submitted his reappointment application. And then for the at-large corporation or community representative, there are 3 vacancies, and we have applications from Margie Langston, Alex Martin, and Austin Palmore. And we did receive support for Margie and Alex, as well as to consider Austin, but kind of question whether they would be able to provide great benefit to the commission. And then as we move down to the Public Utilities and Services Commission, there are 3 vacancies. And we have the reappointment application from Andrew Grisby and Tracy Thayer. And then we also received communication for support for Kirk Johnson and Andrew Crakey. And I do want to note that should the committee recommend, based on the recommendation that we received, Kurt Johnson, that we could keep Mr. Crakey's application on file, because this body will be considering an additional vacancy in April, so that that application could be considered. And then also we did receive an application from Zach Pauley and Daniel Thomas. But again, with those 3 vacancies, they support the reappointment, and also Kirk Johnson for your consideration. And then moving on to Sister Cities Commission, Madam Chair, it is my understanding that the council representative on this commission has requested for this committee to continue until your April 22nd meeting. Okay?
Yes, that's confirmed.
Thank you. And then for Sustainability and Resilience Commission, for a city resident who demonstrates expertise in sustainability and equitable climate actions through professional volunteer efforts or experience. I was just recently informed that the commission expressed support for Sophia Dizelle, but we also did receive applications from Elizabeth Fabris, Leslie Four. Again, you will see Lancy Hancher's name and Luke Peters. And I also want to note that the report does reflect a recent mayoral appointment of Brianne Fisher to the Sustainability and Resilience Commission. And then moving down to the Urban Forestry Commission, there are 2 vacancies. We have received support for the reappointment of both individuals, Whit Clements and Mary Effner. But we also received applications from Elizabeth Fibers, Lynn Murphy, And then moving over, continuing with the Urban Forestry Commission, a certified arborist. We received support for Janine Lester reappointment.
Got it. Thank you so much. Well, I appreciate the groundwork that you've done to speak to our different boards and commissions, because often they're the ones who know what skill sets they're trying to fill in for and parts of the city they're trying to reach most. Heard the request to continue Sister City Commission.
Mhm.
And colleagues, can I have a motion to move forward with the recommendations as so described?
Just so I understand, are the some that had multiple recommendations, would they all be included in that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay.
this would be moving forward, just starting at the top. Zachary Pauly for Central
Mhm.
City Personnel Board, Lacey Hancher,
Mhm.
Clean City Commission, the reappointment of Al
Mhm.
Misa, and then moving forward, Margie Langston and Alex Martin.
Mhm.
And then for Public Utilities and Services Commission, reappointments of Andrew Grisby, Tracy Thayer, and a new appointee Kirk Johnson.
Mhm.
And then switching to the next page, we have Sister Cities Commission will be continued. Sustainability and Resilience Commission would be Sophia Delzell.
Mhm.
And Urban Forestry Commission, the reappointments, Whit Clements, Mary Elfner, and Janine Lester would be the block we would be voting on.
Yes, and Madam Chair, if I may,
Mhm.
that will leave one vacancy for Clean City, and that would be continued into your April meeting.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Okay.
I make a motion to adopt this slate of board members as proposed.
Second.
The committee is voting on the motion to forward the board's appointments and reappointments recommendations to council for approval as stated and to continue consideration of applications for appointments of the Sister Cities Commission to the next committee meeting, which is April 22nd, 2026. Ms. Gibson,
Yes.
Vice Chair Abubakar,
Aye.
Chair Jordan.
Aye.
That motion has been approved.
Thank you so much.
you.
And please thank everyone who applied for these positions. And if you didn't make it this time, please go attend those commission meetings anyway. You will be greatly valued, and keep applying. Thanks.
Yep. And we definitely convey that. Thank you.
Okay. I believe we have no discussion items for the day, but a staff report.
Thank you, Chair Jordan. Will Perkins, staff for the committee. Just wanted to note that, again, we recorded the request to follow up on the recent space needs study and schedule that into our plans for committee presentations in the fall. And the next two meetings for this committee coming up in March and April, currently I have no presentations scheduled. However, I will note you have budget work sessions scheduled for the same time. So that's part of why we laid out from having any scheduled presentations for those time slots. Thank you.
Got it. In consideration that General Services oversees fleet, and I think there had been a report on utilization of our fleet also. Do we want to consider maybe folding that into the utilization space study conversation? Okay, great. Mr. Perkins, did you get that?
You would like an update to the city's fleet needs as well?
Yes, a utilization report. I think they were considering how much we were really using a fleet, if we needed as many vehicles as we currently had. They may have already moved through that work product, but if you could just reach out and find out. Thank you. Okay, with that, I believe we are at the conclusion of our agenda. And for those who were listening or will view this later, it's an empty room. We will not be having, we will be, because we're moving into budget season, our next two regularly scheduled GovOps committee meetings are really probably going to be budget work sessions. So we look forward to continuing our conversations and report probably after budget, unless something urgent arises. With that, this committee meeting is adjourned.